I often talk to my clients about brain spotting. I believe since I experienced brain spotting personally, it was so transformational for me that I tend to offer it to my clients, and I tend to use it to better understand my clients. One of the biggest things about the about brain spotting is considered a bottom up approach, and so what you'll find is in talk therapy, a lot of times we're starting with the cognitive brain. We're working from our memory and our processing, and we're working on our thoughts to process things deeper, which is the key part of talk therapy. But what brain spotting does is it bypasses this developed brain. So it's bypassing the prefrontal cortex, the part that plans and protects us. It's bypassing that, and it's getting right to that subcortical brain. It's getting to that brain stem, to where a lot of psychologists will argue that that's where our actual trauma and distress is held. I grabbed my book because I refer to this a lot. The body keeps the score, and Dr. Bessel Koch speaks. I mean, most of this book is about how trauma attaches itself to the body. And so I see so many people, they have injuries, and in those injuries, they have these life experiences. And for so many people, those life experiences, those traumatic memories, and those distresses, they get stored in those parts of the body, to the point where I've seen people with, leg injuries, back injuries, neck injuries, that they take them into this such a chronic pain space, to where it's hard for them to focus and hard for them to be present in other areas of their life. And when you can see that they're able to process that trauma, they're able to come back to their original selves. So that's why brain spotting is so important. It's a way that, as a counselor, you can bypass all of those pieces that protect us, all of those pieces that fill in the gap, and we're able to get to that stem, that brain stem, the subcortical brain, and actually see what it needs. Just a little background on brain spotting, because I want to talk about the background of it, how it originated and where it came from. And then I'd like to compare it to CBT, which is what I also use. So, it's kind of me saying like, oh, I'm a fan of CBT. That's the foundation of what I stand on. But it's also not helpful in some cases for trauma. And so I'll be happy to share more about that later in the video. But as I was saying, the origin of brain spotting, it was created by Dr. David Grand. He's a psychologist that initially was using EMDR to work with clients, and in EMDR, you're using more of a frequent movement of the finger or a pointer in order to help a person gain a deeper processing of thought. Dr. Grand found that as he slowed down his frequency and started to slow it down even to where a person found a gaze point, what some brain spotters would call, which is what we do naturally. You'll find yourself sometimes, recalling old memories, or maybe even things of from your past, or part of your work that you want to recall, and you may notice yourself looking up and to the right, or down and to the left, or what have you. And that's what we consider gaze spotting. That is you finding a place in your visual field that connects or corresponds with the memory that you have stored. And most of the time we do that because we are trying to bypass this clouding that happens in the prefrontal cortex, where we question ourselves, we judge ourselves, we fill in the blanks. And so by getting to the direct brainstem, by going to that visual field, you'll notice a lot of times that things around us tend to kind of go away because we are deep in there. It makes me think of when you're digging for something and you're looking for something, and before you know it, you're so engulfed in this thing that you're looking for, that the things around you tend to kind of just fade into a gray area. And so that is the benefit of brain spotting, is being able to let these other things go, like social constructs, judgment for self, judgment for others, letting those things go and being able to sit with yourself and see your truth in the experience that it truly is. So brain spotting is, again, the idea is that you're finding a place in your visual field that correlates with a memory or a distress point. Once that point is found, then we are completely focusing on that one point, that memory, and processing it. The beauty of brain spotting is from what I've seen, is there's no wrong way. Like, the only way that you can do brain spotting wrong is if you're judging yourself. So as long as you're curious, as long as you're allowing your brain to go, then you are doing it correctly. For me, and just my personal experience, when I did brain spotting, um, I was able to see myself as a child, being a little black boy. I was able to tap back into this time that I realized was my first time understanding what racism or discrimination was. I was able to almost stand beside or behind myself as a kid, and see this child, this little Jamal, experience what it's like to be discriminated against. I experienced watching him watch people walk past him and trying to make sense of what was happening, while also feeling this pain, this confusion, and also hearing my loved ones, my family that I was with, say, "Oh, let's just go," which confused me even more, in a sense of like, are you not seeing what I'm seeing here? Are you not feeling what I'm feeling here? Later on, what I've found is that they were trying to protect me. They were trying to get me to safety. But at that time, you know, what a distressing moment for a child. And so as I was doing my brain spotting, to be able to reflect on that, to be able to get back to that moment, was such a healing moment for me, because so much of my anxiety stemmed from, what am I doing that's causing these people to feel uncomfortable, or causing these people to not want to accept me. And so when I was able to go back to that moment and see that, it changed the way that I looked at so much, because now I see that those people were struggling with their own beliefs and ideologies that had nothing to do with me as a 4 or 5-year-old child. I had done nothing to them. There was nothing they knew about me to judge me, other than the color of my skin and the color of my family's skin. And so, in understanding that, my own anxiety has changed, my own outlook on life has changed. And so, I hope that brain spotting can do the same for others. That's why I advocate for it so much. So, brain spotting is practiced by, at the moment they're saying like 13,000 practitioners worldwide. I actually did my training here in America, and I also did training in Ireland. So when I say worldwide, I really mean worldwide. It is an amazing modality. I find that a lot of the clinicians that I've trained with are clinicians that understand that trauma is its own thing. And then sometimes when trying to use CBT to combat trauma or to heal trauma, we can cause more distress. And some of the reasons that come about in understanding that how CBT or talk therapy could cause more distress is, what you're looking at is, for some people, going through CBT is just gonna reignite or reactivate the pain or the unresolved issues that they felt. If you haven't gotten to a place where your body can hold or process these things, then by talking about them, you're not really changing anything. So in brain spotting, you're doing this bottom up switch to where your body is putting itself in a place where it can handle what's going on. It's able to observe without critical judgment. It's able to sit back and see what's happening because it feels safe at the time. as you're working with your clinician. In CBT, you're not able to do that. CBT is completely cognitive. We're not focused on the body, and so although you may want to, you know, cognitively reframe something, or you may want to process something differently, that doesn't mean that your body is in a place where it's not going to judge you for processing things differently or seeing things differently. In CBT, we have what's called cognitive reframing. Cognitive reframing is great, but it can also be damaging if we are invalidating someone's experience, or trying to minimize their experience. And so when we look at trauma, trauma is just that, right? And so to try to cognitive reframe trauma, to say that, oh, you were robbed at gunpoint and you had all of your things stolen, and let's cognitively reframe that to, well, you know, you you helped someone feed their kids and you weren't killed, and you were able to connect with people that actually showed you that they cared about you and they came to your rescue. Well, that minimized the fear that you went through, that minimized the threat of your life being taken from you, and that is not going to be easy for your body to digest. No matter how much you want to cognitively reframe this as being beneficial or not so bad, your body is not ready for that. And I'll be honest with you, I agree with your body. I do. I don't think that we should minimize this in any way. And I think that it's better to use things like brain spotting so that we can prepare your body, strengthen it, and put it in a place where it can view things from a non-bias, in a more objective standpoint. And so that's definitely the benefits of brain spotting. Some of the other huge things just to touch on is working through trauma isn't just in your head. Sometimes it's also in your body. And so a lot of times as I work with individuals doing brain spotting, I also bring in a lot of work with internal family systems as we identify these parts. As we touch on these different spaces and these different memories, a lot of times different parts of us will show up. We'll see, you know, my little me may come up during brain spotting, as well as, you know, protectors and maintenance workers and firemen could pop up. And so I do bring in other modalities within brain spotting, but the point of this segment is to just touch on what is brain spotting, its origin, its benefits. I wanted to share a little bit of my personal experience, and I also wanted to touch on how brain spotting, how brain spotting could be more beneficial, and how CBT, when it comes to working with individuals to heal trauma and significant distress or severe distress, could cause more damage. And so this is not for everyone. This is just my perspective, and I just wanted to share this as we continue to learn together and share. If you've experienced, or if you've done EMDR, I'd love to hear from you. If you've done brain spotting, I'd love to hear your experience or your perspective. If you are against them and you're like, you know, talk therapy all the way, I would love to hear your perspective. I'm coming from a perspective that I feel like both are needed, and I think they should be used, you know, when the time is appropriate. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope that this is helpful in just learning about brain spotting and what's happening. Yeah, thank you.